afternoon. We will call the Transportation Committee meeting to order. Today is Monday, February 24th, 2025. It is approximately 3:08 p.m. I want to thank Senator Dibble. We've changed the gavel today, so I'll be chairing today's meeting. I want to thank Senator Dibble for that. We have a lot of bills, 17 bills in front of us today, so we're going to somewhat limit the time to 2 minutes per testimony, or 3 minutes? 3 minutes, I'm sorry, 3 minutes. We'll have a timer up here, so if you overhear that, please wrap up your comments as soon as you can, and we'll continue on with the next bill. We call this Constituent Request Day, so again, thanks Senator Dibble for hearing that. As we know, many communities have important transportation projects that we'd like to get heard, so MnDOT and the stakeholders can have input on those. So without further ado, we also want to report that Senator Pa and Senator Herr are remote. Senator Pa is in Brooklyn Park and Senator Herr is in St. Paul. They're online. So with that, our first bill up today is Senate File 959, Senator Xiong. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Chair and members. I'm Senator Xiong. I have before you Senate File 959. I would like to thank the members of the Senate Transportation Committee for holding a discussion today. The grade separation project of Trunk Highways 36 and 120 included in this filing lies at the nexus point for several agencies, the borders of Ramsey and Washington counties, and the cities of North St. Paul and Oakdale, and the highways themselves are currently under the jurisdiction of MnDOT. With so many agencies involved in this crucial regional corridor, it's imperative that the state supports these safety improvements. I would like to welcome the Washington County Commissioner and former Mayor of Oakdale, Commissioner Drazkowski, to testify on behalf of Senate File 959.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Xiong. And please state your name, who you represent for the record, and proceed with your testimony. Thank you.
Stan Drazkowski, Washington County Commissioner, representing Washington County. Been commissioner since 2016. As Senator mentioned, I was on the Oakdale City Council and mayor for many years. This grade highway intersection 36 and 120 has averaged at least 25 crashes per year. With a history of serious injury and fatal crashes, it's the fourth highest crash cost in the state of Minnesota. The need to address the safety concerns for walkers, drivers, and bikers at this dangerous intersection has been a constant priority since my time on the Oakdale City Council. Traffic on Highway 36 has increased more than 20% since the St. Croix River Crossing Bridge had opened. And there's a lot of growth in Washington County, so the growth on 36 is even going to get busier. 36 is a key corridor in the region. The 36 at 120 intersection is the only lighted intersection on 36 within the 494-694 Beltway, and it's the only lighted intersection if you go east to Stillwater. Highway 36 and 120 are under the state of Minnesota jurisdiction. Both roads. The state has not put this on their priority list to date. We are motivated to pursue the improvements at this local location because 120 Century Avenue is scheduled for a turn back to Washington Ramsey County with no specific date. This bill has been around for 4 years and has had consistent support of Ramsey and Washington counties and the local cities nearby. Thank you for consideration of this $3 million request. The $3 million will give a preliminary design to get this important multi-agency effort underway. This continues to be at top of the list of needed safety improvements and continues to be overlooked each year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Drazkowski. Any brief questions from members? Senator Xiong, closing comments. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you. Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator John, I see that you're asking for $3 million from the general fund, which would be on the bonding bill. Are you here to say that you will support the bonding bill if this appears on that bill?
Senator Xiong.
Chair, Senator Carlson, yes, I would.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your consideration. I hope this bill gets your support too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda, item number 2, Senate File number 234, Senator Limmer. Senator Limmer, when you're ready, go ahead and start your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the time to be before the Transportation Committee. The first bill is Senate File 234. It relates to a bridge over Highway 169. This bridge is just located north of 694 in between Maple Grove and Brooklyn Park. It's the very first bridge north of that Highway 694. You might know it as Brooklyn Boulevard on one side and Elm Creek Boulevard on the other side. This bridge was a part of our request in the last few years, but nevertheless, I think it was within the last year, a heavy truck hit the bridge underneath it, and it is we not only need the bridge for development in the area, it also, one lane of the 4 lanes is closed right now because of the damage that was done to it by the accident earlier last year. I have Mayor Mark Stephenson here from the city of Maple Grove, who can better describe the need for this bridge.
Thank you, Senator Limmer. Mr. Stephenson, please state your name and who you're with, and you can proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Drazkowski and members of the committee. I am Mark Stephenson. I'm the mayor of Maple Grove. Thank you for this opportunity to testify on Senate File 234 today regarding the Trunk Highway 169 and Elm Creek Boulevard interchange project. The existing interchange at 169 and Elm Creek Boulevard was originally constructed in 1984. Its current design is deficient with temporary stacked signals, no turn lanes, and no bike or pedestrian facilities. This interchange is the eastern access point to the gravel mining area in Maple Grove, much of which is now experiencing significant development of industry and office, including the new Boston Scientific Arbor Lakes campus that will be home to over 1,500 new additional jobs, as well as other industry that's attracting over 4,500 jobs that are coming to the area. This interchange also serves as the main access point to the Hennepin Technical College located in Brooklyn Park. The gravel mine remains very active in Maple Grove, with construction material frequently moving in and out of the McCrossin and Martin Marietta operations located to the north and west of the interchange. They build a majority of the roads in the metropolitan area. The importance of replacing this interchange became even more critical after the suffering of a bridge strike in the fall of 2024, which resulted in the closure of the full westbound lane and significant weight restrictions until the bridge is repaired or replaced. These restrictions are impacting the flow of freight and building materials, as well as further complicating pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicle flow. We have attached letters from Martin Marietta and McCrossin indicating the operational impacts of the bridge strike. Maple Grove has led and funded the interchange design and has accelerated this process so that the repair funds can be used towards the interchange replacement. We continue to work with MnDOT and Hennepin County to secure full funding for the project. This project costs an estimated $19.3 million. The city has already secured $7 million of STP funds from the Met Council for this project and has put an additional $1.2 million of local funds into the project itself. This has supported the project development, environmental documentation, and accelerated the final design. The city is requesting an appropriation of $12.3 million in funds to support this significant regional trunk highway project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor. We also have members, we have 2 letters in the file on this as well with support. So with that, Senator Limmer, do you have another testifier?
We do not. We wanted to limit the time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A quick question. You mentioned getting some money for the repair. How much did you get for the repair of the bridge?
We've not received any money from other sources. We had received previously $7 million of STP grant monies that are yet to be used, and the city has put a $1.2 million of funds into the project.
Thanks
Senator
for
Johnson-Stewart.
clarifying. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions? Seeing none, again, today's all bills will be held over for possible inclusion. So with that, we'll move on to the next bill. Senator Limmer, that is yours as well. Senate File XXX. We do not have a number yet. Again, we're waiting on a couple of those. Senator Dibble graciously allowed us for hearings, but a couple of them we didn't have our bills ready yet, so we'll get those later. But with that, Senator Limmer, to your next bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, I'd like to thank the chair, Senator Dibble, for allowing us to present this bill. Our formal bill is still at the provisor's office getting finished up, but nevertheless, there's a keen interest in Highway 55 as it was in the last few years. Highway 55 is a very well-traveled road going through western Hennepin County. It starts all the way back to downtown Minneapolis, moves west all the way out to Rockford, and then into Wright County. Today I have Kent Koch, not only the mayor of Loretto, but also the Highway 55 Corridor Coalition Chair. You may remember this committee granted us $2 million for a design and environmental impact statement to be used in the last few years. We're grateful for that, but wanted to make sure that the need is still strong. You have the bill in front of you, despite the fact that it does not have a number. It's a bond issue and appropriation, $55 million through a bond. I think I'll pass it over to Mayor Cook, and we'll then move on to Kevin Anderson, Commissioner from Hennepin County.
Okay, thank you, Senator Limmer and Mayor Cook. We're going to try and keep it within 3 minutes for all the testifiers, so I've been told you're going to try and do that, so go ahead and proceed.
Fast.
Hi, Mayor Kent Cook, Mayor of Loretto and Chair of the Highway 55 Corridor Coalition. Thank you, committee, for allowing us to testify today. As Senator Limmer mentioned, the request is for $55 million for the construction costs, engineering, and right-of-way acquisition on this stretch. In the last few cycles with the legislature, we've came for funding and have not been successful. It also has a regional trail supports a grade separation at County Road 19 and future bus rapid transit as well. Wright County and Western Hennepin continue to see growth and development pressures, and this trend is expected to continue. The current roadway right now is over capacity, so I'll pause there.
And I'd like to have Kevin
Senator Limmer.
Anderson from Hennepin County address the issue as well.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Kevin Anderson, Hennepin County Commissioner and Vice Chair of the Highway 55 Corridor Coalition. As was mentioned, there's a significant amount of growth happening in western Hennepin County, and Highway 55 is a vital corridor for not just the communities near Minneapolis, but all through to the border of Hennepin County and beyond. We know that this corridor has seen accident rates at 1.5 times higher than the other comparable stretches of road, and making sure that we're investing in our safety improvements as well as acquisition, while there is an opportunity to combine some of the efforts that are already being planned on resurfacing, would make a lot of sense to make sure that we can make the most use of our dollars that we're expected to invest in our infrastructure, especially in light of all of the development that we are seeing in western Hennepin County and beyond. I'm trying to keep this really short so that I can pass that over to my Wright County colleague.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Ms. Xiong.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the time. Again, I am Nadine Shane with Wright County Commissioner. We have approximately the eastern 7 miles starting on 55 in my district. So I am just here to strongly support this revised bill. not only to have the funding for the environmental document, but also for the construction. Thousands of my residents in Wright County travel this corridor every day. This project would provide safety, travel time, economic benefits. My Wright County residents would utilize this vital corridor every single day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions, members? Senator Limmer, closing comments.
Mr. Chair, I know when I should quit, so you have a busy schedule. And if I keep talking, I'm going to lose votes. So I've learned over my years here. Thank you.
You've been here a couple, Senator Limmer. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Senate File Number 1490, Senator Abeler, which is the Coon Rapids East River Road and Trunk Highway 610 Interchange Project Bond Issue and Appropriation. Senator Abeler, to your bill.
Well, thank you so much, and I do have a testifier. Mr. Himmer is going to pop in here, hopefully. If he doesn't, my speech will be much shorter. And so maybe if you can just even get queued up. But Highway 610.
He is online, ready to go.
Oh, is he? Oh, good. So Highway 610 has been a project since 1964. This project in Coon Rapids has been on the planning board for 13 years. And it's really meritorious. It's going to just make it so much better. So many of the things we build that don't have one exit one way or the other, and this is just a key entrance to Highway 610. So I have Senator Limmer was here, now I have Mr. Himmer, so maybe there's something there. But I'll turn it to him, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Himmer, we'll go to you online. Please state your name and who you're with and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Tim Hemmer. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Coon Rapids. Thank you, Senator Abeler, Transportation Committee. I'm here seeking $10 million in trunk highway funds for a full access interchange at East River Road and Highway 610. This is not a new interchange, mind you. It is really completing an existing interchange that exists. Coon Rapids does have 2 interchanges on Highway 610 currently, but in each condition, you cannot get off in the westbound direction or on in the eastbound direction. It creates a lot of circuitous paths. It puts traffic off the regional system on the local system and vice versa. It's wasting time. And so really this interchange will improve access, not only for the local community. We've got an industrial park in the area. There's a commercial hub along Coon Rapids Boulevard. There's a Metro Transit park and ride facility in the area. And so we're trying to find ways to get people to these destinations without having to cross the river, do U-turns, or drive heavy trucks down those local systems that may not be developed to those same standards. Improving safety will also allow for additional access for those emergency freeway in that eastbound direction if there was something to happen. So we're always calling our neighbors across the river to come and help if there are any incidents. Not only that, but the significant truck traffic that uses this area is accessing it through our local route. So again, lots of pedestrians, lots of traffic signals. We've timed over a 6-minute delay if you miss your interchange and you have to cross the river or go different routes. Not only that, it just improves functionality for both the local and the regional system. We've invested quite a bit on that regional solicitation or in the regional system recently. And we're just looking for a little bit of that on that regional system, because not only will this improve access to this area, but it's also going to take traffic off of competing interchanges on Trunk Highway 10 at University, at Highway 47, and at Foley Boulevard. So if anyone's ever driven that direction heading into the weekend, you know the slowdowns that exist, and getting additional access from 610 to this area will alleviate some of that. I'm very appreciative of the dollars that have been invested to date. We've received $2.5 million in previous sessions. We put that to good use. We have preliminary design complete. Our environmental documents will be done next month. We will be shovel ready on this project by the end of the year. We've done a robust public engagement. We've found lots of partners. We've cobbled together additional funds, including $4 million in local investments outside of what we've already put into our local system. And this request here puts us over the top. This construction as early as next spring if we're successful. So I know there was a handout to the agenda. There's a website if anyone has an interest to go check that out, and I'm more than happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Himmer. Member, any questions? Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Himmler, I do like the complete response that you have here and saying that it is, design has been worked on and you have a prediction of shovel ready. So that's a real good presentation, and I think we should support this.
Thank you, Senator Carlson. Anyone else? Senator Abeler, closing comments.
Well, thanks, and I appreciate it. And I think it's a $38 million project, and they've cobbled money from all kinds of sources, including the city and the county, which was kind of referred to. And thank you, Senator Carlson. And so just if this can get done, you actually will be able to get there from here. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Abeler. Senate File 1490 will be held over for possible inclusion. The next bill, Senate File number 151, Senator Weber. This is the Trunk Highway 75 from Luverne to Pipestone reconstruction, bond issue, and appropriation. Senator Weber, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. This bill is a request for funding from the Trunk Highway bonds to reconstruct this portion of U.S. Highway 75. U.S. Highway 75 has been in terrible condition for many years. Currently, there is a plan to do an overlay on part of it next year. The reality of it is that the folks of my district have not necessarily been impressed with the overlays that are done in our highway system. And within a couple of years, quite frankly, we're finding many of our highways are back in the condition that they were prior to the overlay. This particular area also has a unique element in that the soils that are present, particularly in the Pipestone County, are difficult soils. They create a lot of pressure within our basements. Pipestone has a number of basements that are cracked due to the ground conditions that are there. U.S. Highway 75 is an old highway, and the concern is that the more money that is put in a temporary fix for overlays and that will just simply delay the reconstruction of this portion of the highway, which quite frankly needs to be done. And at this point, you will notice, Mr. Chairman, members, that the money amount is left blank. At this point, the last time that we had an amount in there was for $80 million. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I do have a county commissioner from Rock County, Gary Overgaard, who I believe is online and prepared to testify.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Yes, Mr. Overgaard, please go ahead, state your name and who you're with, and proceed with your testimony.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Gary Overgaard. I'm on a commissioner of the Rock County Commissioners Board. And first, I'd like to thank Senator Weber for sponsoring Senate File Bill 0151. And I'd also like to thank you, the Senate Transportation Committee, for listening to my testimony. I'm a lifelong resident of Rock County. I farmed for 49 years here in the county, and I retired last year. I was elected county commissioner in 2016, and Highway 75 runs through the majority of my district north to south. Highway 75 has continued to deteriorate through the years and has gotten to the point where it's unsafe to drive on. And that's exclamation point many times. MnDOT has met with our board several times, and we always ask, the first question is, when is 75 going to get rebuilt? Their latest answer is 2028. The Highway 75 rebuild has been delayed approximately 6 years since I've been on the board, starting in 2016. So the highway is getting to the point where it won't last that long. It's plain and simply has run out or used its useful life. MnDOT is constantly repairing it, filling potholes, filling cracks, and retarring. And they keep putting good money into bad. I think it's time that we got to get this highway fixed so that we just keep putting good money into bad and get it fixed right. Lots of locals are bypassing 75 because it's getting so bad, and they're using our secondary roads in the county to bypass it. It's a main transportation route through Rock County with lots of truck traffic and farm equipment usage. It's seen its useful life, and it's time to get it replaced. With Rock County being primarily agricultural, we depend on good roads to transfer our goods and services. I would like, our residents of Rock County would like to thank you for your consideration this afternoon. I hope that you can move this bill to passage, and I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Overgaard. Member questions. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very brief. I'm driving the road in Google, and I see that it's a 2-lane road with very narrow shoulders. Senator Weber, do you know if the $80 million last time was for a reconstruction, or if that was for an overlay, or if there's any plan to change the cross-section of the road?
Senator Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Johnson Stewart. Stuart Johnson, excuse me. It was a complete rebuild, the last request, and that's what this request is for as well.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Senator Weber, thank you. Do you know if it's to add capacity? Is it still going to be a 2-lane road?
Senator Weber.
Mr. Chairman, Senator, to my understanding, it will still be a 2-lane road.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, members? Senator Weber, any closing comments?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, as the Commissioner stated, this project has been delayed time and time again to a point where the road is actually highly unusable for heavy traffic anymore. And we are seeing traffic being rerouted of their own choice, and quite frankly, probably taking secondary roads on which they shouldn't be traveling in the first place. But with that, Mr. Chairman, members, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Senate file number 151 will be held over for possible inclusion. Next up, Senate file 620, Senator Drazkowski, Trunk Highway 74, resurfacing in Winona County appropriation. Senator Drazkowski, when you're ready, you may begin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Thank you for hearing this bill today. Dave Kramer, who is the Winona County engineer, would like to be with us today, but he is going through bridge inspection training, and so he needs to be there. There's like 209 bridges in Winona County, so he's busy with that. He was here in 2023 when we presented this bill here, when I presented the bill the first time. Auto Seal, members, is a technology that comes from the Otta River Valley in Norway, and it's been used successfully in Winona County, actually in 2001 on this highway, Highway 74. There's a 4-mile section of that road, which, by the way, for your information, this state highway is the only unpaved state highway in the state. Out of 12,000 state highway miles, there are 11 unpaved, and that's on Highway 74 through Winona County. It's 4 miles of this 11-mile segment that has the higher, the quite high for a roadway like this traffic count at 400 vehicles per day, which is very high for a crushed rock road. And that's what we have now because members, in 2001, Winona County, or actually MnDOT, used this Otta Seal technology, which, by the way, involves laying down 3/4 inch of, or spraying down an asphalt binder and then 3/4 inch of road rock and then repeating it for a double Otta Seal effect. They used this technology successfully in 2001. Members, it lasted 20 years, and it pays for itself in about half of that time. And so I will argue that today this might be the only project before you that's going to save money. And it's also the second smallest amount of ask that's going to come before you here today. But it was laid down in 2001. It lasted until about 2017 when it started to deteriorate. The MnDOT reverted it back to crushed rock in 2001. Again, this is 4 miles of road, members, that goes through the northern portion of Whitewater State Park. So that is the request. This, members, will bring the road into the condition that it was in before reverting back to crushed rock, as it did. By the way, think about it. All of the blading that goes on and all of the annual applications of crushed rock on this road, you can see quickly how it's going to save money over time. Winona County has adopted this technology on 9 of their different roadways in addition to what happened here on State Highway 74. They saw the success and the money saving that occurred there and have used it successfully. So that's all I can bring back out of the retention of my memory at this time, Mr. Chair, and I stand for questions.
Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. That was pretty good. I'm impressed. Question, Senator Johnson Stewart.
Hey, I think he did a great job, too. I know a lot about auto seal. I have a quick question for anybody on the committee. How many gravel state trunk highways do we have in Minnesota? Senator Dibble, do you know?
Senator Dibble.
I don't know that we have any. I think this is this for a trunk highway or is this for a
This is for a state highway, State Highway 74.
state highway? Okay. Maybe
MnDOT's giving the
we have,
finger number one.
Mr. Rudin is jumping forward to help us out here. Yeah.
So it's not a state trunk highway, it's just a state highway? I mean, what's?
Oh, it is a trunk highway
It is trunk
74.
highway.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was down in the paragraph here seeing County State-Aid Highway. Mr. Rudin, can you help us out here?
And I know we're under time crunch, but I think it's important to ask this question.
Mr. Rudin is coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Rudin. Do you know?
Mr. Rudin, you know the drill.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. Eric Rudin, MnDOT Government Affairs, and to my knowledge, there is only one trunk highway in the state that is a gravel road, and it's
This one.
the one that we're talking about right here.
All right, thank you.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
No, that's great. I love hearing that kind of information.
And
Appreciate it.
thank you, Senator Johnson Stewart. Mr. Rudin, do we know why this is the only one, or maybe a little history of why this is the only one? Senator Rudin, or Mr. Rudin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a very low volume road, so when we look at the average daily traffic, I don't remember the exact count here, but it is quite low. We've actually been in discussions with DNR. We would, I think from our position, we would like this to be a facility that the DNR maintains. We've had some discussion with the county as well. I don't think they're interested, but because it serves just a sort of a corner of a state park, really from our perspective doesn't make sense to even be on the trunk highway system.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could offer, so again,
Senator Drazkowski, go ahead.
It's 11 miles of Highway 74 here. The 4 miles we're talking about are over 400 cars per day, as actually was measured in the area of 500 and 600 cars per day on different occasions. But the rest of the highway is much lower, as Mr. Rudin said, than that. It's like 200 cars per day or something like that. So it's really the higher traffic portion of this roadway that we're looking at that's used quite a bit in that area. It's a curvy road, so when the dust kicks up, there's a lot of safety concerns that happen, in addition, of course, to the major potholes that happen.
Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. I actually think I've been on this road before. So, Senator Dibble.
Thanks. If I could ask Mr. Rudin a question about auto seal. I did do a quick little search. I remember we had some conversation about auto seal in this committee a year or two or more ago, but I can't remember if MnDOT is a big utilizer or an adherent, pardon the pun, of auto seal, or what MnDOT's general posture is towards A, auto seal as a surfacing technique or technology, and B, how MnDOT would feel about being told how they would treat within, specification of legislation, a particular stretch that it owns. Mr. Chair, thank you.
You bet. Mr. Rudin.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and Chair Dibble. I think, we're open to it as a technology where it's appropriate. As Senator Drazkowski said, when we used it here the first time, it was fairly durable and held up pretty well. I think, again, just from our perspective, any sort of significant investment in this section of roadway is maybe not the most efficient use of resources. So we did put it back to gravel. We think, it probably makes sense to have it as a gravel road despite it being a trunk highway. So I think, that's our position. We don't necessarily have any objection to auto seal where it's appropriate, but it's just, given the low volume, we think it's more appropriate to maintain it as a gravel roadway.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Chair, and if I
Senator
could.
Drazkowski, go ahead.
And Senator Dibble, the first time and we sat down with MnDOT on this road in the area there, and the first time this was done, it paid for itself in 8 years, and it lasted 15 or 16 years. So this project will save the state money, and that's why we got it before you.
Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. Mr. Rudin, while you're up there, so do we know if counties and townships are using this out-of-seal more than obviously MnDOT with only the one highway? So is this a frequent use by counties and townships? Mr. Rudin?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if I can say it's a frequent use. I think I need to check with the county engineers and city engineers associated, probably more likely county or even township. But I think Senator Drazkowski did indicate that this particular county has used it in other locations in that county.
Thank you.
Senator
Johnson-Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify, and Senator Drazkowski, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I assume, and so feel free to give me feedback, but I assume what you mean when you say it pays for itself is that when a gravel road is sealed, then there's less maintenance, blading, pothole repair, et cetera. So all of those maintenance costs are diverted because of the chip seal or the out-of-seal or whatever sealant that is put on the gravel. And so when you say it pays for itself, I assume that you're meaning as opposed to the cost of the out-of-seal versus the maintenance that is deferred because of that treatment. Is that correct?
Senator Drazkowski.
That's correct. Senator Johnson-Stewart, it pays for itself in 8 years is what I'm told. And the last time this was used, it lasted 15 to 20 years. So you've got annual applications of crushed rock and grading every single year. And those costs are about twice the amount that it would cost on the auto-seal. It's a one-time expense on the state, but it will last generally twice as long in terms of the amount of money that it would take half as much money to do it over 20 years with auto-seal as it would with crushed rock.
Thank you. Senator Dibble.
Senator Drazkowski, you should get together with the concrete proponents and start arguing for those long-term investments. Thanks.
Thanks, Senator Dibble. We're seeing no other questions. Senator Drazkowski, any closing comments?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Senate file number 620 will be held over for possible inclusion. On to Senator Duckworth. Senate file 1264, Lakeville Interstate Highway 35 Bridge Interchange Project and Bond Issue and Appropriation. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. I brought some backup with me, so I'm going to almost immediately defer to them. But members of the committee should know this is one of the major arteries of travel here in the state of Minnesota. I happen to take this exit every day to and from coming to the Capitol. I know some of us, Mr. Chair, take it on our way home. So it's kind of a big deal, and I would love to turn it over to Commissioner Holberg to start us off.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Commissioner Holberg, welcome. Please state your name and who you're with and proceed with your testimony.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mary Liz Holberg, Dakota County Commissioner, with the esteemed senator from Lakeville. Also a firefighter, and I'll get to that in just a minute. This, we'll just talk about both bills together. One's a trunk highway and one is a general fund, and that we have both a freeway issue and a county road issue in order to do the interchange. Dakota County is unique in that out of the 80 miles statewide that are major arterials that are not on the state system, 31 of those lane miles are in Dakota County. So Dakota County as a county bears a high burden in keeping our east-west roads up to date, safe, et cetera. There's no state highway east and west from 13 in Burnsville all the way down to Northfield. We've been lucky enough that we have been able to upgrade 42, 46, 60, and 70, and we got this problem at 50, in that in order to upgrade County Road 50, we need a larger bridge on the interstate. Decades ago, we carved out an additional lane, so there's 3 lanes underneath the nearly 50-year-old bridge, but we have backups on the freeway. It's the crash rate, as you'll see in your handout, in a 10-year period of time was 4 times the critical rate, and we can't fix our county road until the interchange is fixed. Currently, MnDOT has this corridor slated for pavement improvements in 2029. One of the major problems that's occurring at more and more frequency is the fire station, in which Senator Duckworth serves as a volunteer, is located on the east side of the freeway, and the whole northwest area of Lakeville is vulnerable if they can't get underneath this constrained area. In addition, the on and off ramps are close together, so there's not room for stacking. So not only do we see stacking back up on the freeway, sometimes as far back as Buck Hill, but we also have stacking underneath, trying to move traffic east and west underneath the bridge. We've made a lot of progress. There was a 20-year-old concept plan that's recently been updated with some study money, which Zach Johnson from the city of Lakeville, he's the city of Lakeville engineer, will talk a little bit more about that. But this project is a top priority for the I-35W Corridor Commission. We have been, as a community, supportive of all the investments, starting with Crosstown and Orange Line and the flyover, all the work that was done south of downtown Minneapolis, new bridge in Burnsville, now 494 and 35 is fully funded, so we feel like we should be rising to the top of the priority list. And I don't need to tell too many people about the rapid growth in that area of the county as well that's continuing to add traffic volume in this area. So with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Holberg. Mr. Johnson.
Hi, thank you, Chair, members of the Transportation Committee. I tend to talk a lot, but in consideration of the time constraints, I prepared some testimony here. Zach Johnson, City Engineer for the City of Lakeville. On behalf of the Lakeville City Council, I'm requesting your support for Senate Files 1264 and 1265. The Lakeville City Council is committed to safety and mobility along the Interstate 35 corridor, and improvements at the County Road 50 interchange is the city's top transportation priority. As a Tier 1 regional freight corridor, this segment of I-35 serves a critical role in the Twin Cities regional and interstate commerce. Traffic volumes, as Commissioner Holberg referenced, continue to grow as this corridor is one of the fastest growing areas in the state. The current interchange is aging and insufficient in both design and capacity, which is contributing to the significant traffic congestion, and safety as well, as the crashes at the interchange and the ramps exceed the critical crash rate. A new interchange is essential to providing the infrastructure that fosters commerce, protects public health, and provides the high quality of life our residents and businesses have grown accustomed to and expect. It is critical for us that we continue to invest and provide the funding resources necessary to plan, design, build, operate, and maintain a completed interchange. The city, in partnership with Dakota County, has invested more than $20 million in the last 20 years in local roadway improvement projects and right-of-way acquisition along the County Road 50 corridor in preparation for this very project. The city has long collaborated with developers, local businesses, the Metropolitan Council, the Minnesota Department of Transportation, and the Federal Highway Administration to construct interim improvements and establish a long-term vision for this area. A new interchange will incorporate a design that provides the capacity, multimodal features, and safety enhancements necessary to ensure that planned growth remains well managed and compatible with the city and county's transportation network and consistent with the community visions and goals. With that, I'll stand for any questions, but we do want to thank you for your consideration of these bills. This is a transportation investment with significant local, regional, and state benefits, and City of Lakeville and Dakota County remain committed to providing and delivering this essential public works project.
Thank you. Member questions? Sarah Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It appears like in Senator Duckworth, Senate File 1264 and 1265, you're asking for about a little over $50 million. And I know that this is an important corridor, and it's very important to Dakota County. I've been in a lot of Dakota County meetings where this has been discussed before. And I guess what I need from you is that if this appears in a bonding bill, are you going to commit to vote for it?
These kind of questions are allowed here, Mr. I'm just
Senator
kidding.
Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Carlson. I appreciate it. I think because Commissioner Holberg is sitting next to me, I better say yes, so.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you. And again, I just want to comment as well. I'm co-authors on both bills. I drive by it almost every day, both northbound and southbound. It's an intersection that really is a choke point getting in and out of the metro, both coming and going, either commuting into work or commuting out to work. It seems both east and west and north and south. The exit ramps are very dangerous, I think, very short. If you're heading southbound on 35 and have to get off on Highway 50, it's very dangerous. I've seen many, many accidents there in my time going back and forth. So again, thank you for bringing this bill forward. It's very, very important, and thanks for your hard work on it, Senator Duckworth. Any other comments? And I think, do we want to do Senate file? We really have done both in 1264 and 1265, so I don't know if you need any further testimony. Unless members have any other questions, we'll move these two together for possible inclusion. Unless there's no members. All right, well, with that, Senate files number 1264 and 1265 will be held over for possible inclusion. Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Next one, Senator Duckworth, sorry. Informational meeting on Senate file XXX, and if you can explain the bill.
Happy to, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Again, I have some expert testifiers here that will provide some additional information. We're moving a little bit further south now, and I promise, despite the bill's title, it might lead you to believe that it's a scandalous project. It is not, but they're going to go ahead and give you some additional information regarding 35 and County Road 2 as well.
Great. Thank you. Welcome to the committee. Gavel's over here.
There it is.
It moved momentarily. So please introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair and members. I'm Dave Beer, Scott County Commissioner. I'm the chairman of the board. There should also be a one page that I think was distributed earlier with the Elko New Market logo. There we go. Thank you very much. So we are here to bring one thing to your attention: the plight of the interchange over I-35 and County Road 2 in Elko New Market. We realized that in years past, this interchange seemed like it was a million miles away, or at least someplace in Kansas, someplace south. The reality is it's creeping closer and closer to the metro every day, and the fact is it's here, this very day. That interchange is vitally important. We have seen and are seeing rapid growth in the area, both in commercial and industrial, existing growth, and we're expecting additional growth. It's adding truck traffic now on a daily basis. So we're also seeing and expecting large tracts of new housing as land is readily available in the South Metro. This fact was recently highlighted, and I'm sure you saw it in the Star Tribune, where the Met Council has noted the high growth rates anticipated for the area, both, again, commercially, industrial, and also residential. On one of my last trips down, I got off on the southbound ramp where I was greeted by a handwritten sign that someone had gone out and hung in the intersection: "Death trap, turn at your own risk." And as I nosed out to turn east, I knew exactly what they were talking about. The current bridge, built in 1963, I consider it's one of the OGs on the interstate system, built in 1963. It's incredibly narrow, and you really have to creep out slowly and put your nose out there to make sure you can safely turn in both directions. I should also note there have been other similar messages posted in the past of the similar sentiment. So since there have been so many serious crashes with all the new growth, MnDOT in this past year installed a four-way stop at the ramp terminal on the west side of the bridge. So this has led to serious operational issues. I mean, safety is always a concern: safety first, safety last, safety in the middle. But also the operational aspect of this particular interchange leads to 3/4 of a mile or more backups, and also multi-minute delays on a regular basis. Scott County and Elko New Market have done our due diligence, with considerable investment and planning along the way for this interchange. With all of the current, I want to double down on that, there's current growth in that interchange now, today, but with all the current and anticipated growth in having the next nearest interchange being 5 miles away, we really need to get MnDOT engaged and ready to lead this endeavor today. Our ask: please approve this legislation that would provide the funding and require MnDOT to begin design, environmental, and right-of-way acquisition for this particular interchange. We need to get started now if we want to have construction begin in the next 5 years. Again, safety first, safety last, safety in the middle, but I also want to highlight the importance of the travel shed for this particular interchange. It serves multiple cities and 4 counties. So again, it used to be a long ways away, but this interchange is not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner Beer. Senator Nelson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. Is this a project on the MnDOT list?
I don't think it is on the MnDOT list as we sit here today.
Senator Nelson.
Mr. Chair, I remember when Highway 14 wasn't on the MnDOT list. It has taken us many years, but we're glad they're on board now. But I wish you a faster success.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Members,
Senator,
other questions? Senator Duckworth, you'll wrap up your bill?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I appreciate it. First off, thank you for the opportunity to have the bill heard today, and Senator Dibble, greatly appreciate your willingness to let us have it heard as well. Again, it's a safety issue, and this area in particular is set to double in size in terms of growth in the not too distant future. So appreciate you giving us the opportunity to highlight that and would urge that it continue to be a priority. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Duckworth. This bill will be held over for possible inclusion. Thank you. Next, Senator Nelson. And Senator Nelson has Senate File number 781, which is the Byron U.S. Highway 14 intersection improvements and bond issue and appropriation. With that, Senator Nelson, you can start when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad to have Senate File 7581 in front of you. Committee members, thank you for allowing me to present this. And of course, I'd like to thank our co-sponsors as well. Senator Drazkowski, Senator Housley, and Senator Bolden will also like to be on this bill. She will. And this bill continues the crucial safety improvements on the corridor that serves the whole southern part of the state. Senate File 781 provides $2.4 million for the trunk highway bond eligible portions of this transportation project in my district. You'll note the total cost is $8 million, with the remaining amounts being eligible for GO bonds. So it's about a 30-70 split between trunk highway bonds and GO bonds. In the essence of time, Mr. Chair and committee members, I would like to turn this over to my testifier, Olmsted County Commissioner Michelle Rossman, to further explain the project. I know many of you have been there already, but to explain the project and the impact to our region. And also, if you have specific questions, Mr. Ben Johnson, our Olmsted County Public Works Director and County Engineer, is here for all those engineering type questions. Senator Johnson. All right.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Commissioner Rossman, go ahead, state your name and who you're with, and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Michelle Rossman, and I am an Olmsted County Commissioner. I represent the west central part of the county, including Byron, which is the location of the proposed interchanges. Thank you, Senator Dibble, for hearing Senate File 781. And I would also like to thank Senator Nelson and our co-authors, Senator Drazkowski and Senator Housley, for their support and leadership. Olmsted County recently partnered with MnDOT, Dodge County, and the cities of Byron and Casson to complete a corridor analysis, which studied Trunk Highway 14, the corridor between Rochester and Casson. Through this work, a long-term vision was established to improve safety and mobility and encourage regional development. The handout in your packet includes an image illustrating the long-term vision. We are extremely grateful for the support of legislators at both the state and federal levels for fully funding the first interchange in the plan at CSAH 44 in Olmsted County. Right-of-way is currently being acquired for this project with intentions of beginning construction in the spring of 2026. The interchange is planned to be complete and open to traffic by the end of 2027. The bill before you today addresses the next two interchanges identified in the plan, located at CSAH 3 and 5. CSAH 3 is just east of the city of Byron in Olmsted County, and CSAH 5 is within the city limits. This funding will be used for environmental analysis, pre-design, and final design of two grade-separated interchanges. The project will remove an at-grade railroad crossing and 3 at-grade intersections, including 2 traffic signals. These traffic signals are the last 2 remaining stoplights between Rochester and Mankato. In the last 10 years, 39 crashes have occurred at CSAH 3, including 2 fatalities. 85 crashes have occurred at the signalized CSAH 5 location, including 1 fatality. Traffic volumes and speeds continue to increase along Trunk Highway 14, exacerbating safety concerns at the traffic signals in Byron. These signalized intersections create unsafe conditions when drivers are met with an abrupt stop after traveling many miles in freeway-like conditions. In closing, it's vitally important to start working on these interchanges at CSAH 3 and 5 to continue improving the safety of Trunk Highway 14. The project will also support growth and development in the region, as we are growing at a rate faster than the state and national averages. Thank you for committing time to learn more about the project, and we would greatly appreciate your support in funding this project. Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner.
Chair and members.
Member questions? Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So from what I can tell, at County Road 5 or CASA 5, there's a signal. At County Road 3, there's a reduced conflict interchange or intersection. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you also said that, or the materials that you handed out say that in the last 10 years, there's been 39 crashes at the CASA 3 intersection. I wonder how many crashes have there been since the reduced conflict interchange has been built there?
Commissioner or engineer, whichever wants to take it.
Mr. Chair and Senator Johnson Stewart, Ben Johnson, Olmsted County Engineer. I'd have to get that number and get back to you. I don't know it off the top of my head.
But
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. But I'm just going to call it R-Cut. But the R-Cut was built as part of the Trunk Highway 14 project. How old is the R-Cut at County Road 3 or CASA 3?
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Ms. Johnson Stewart, the R-Cut was constructed approximately 2 years ago by MnDOT as a safety measure. It was an interim measure laid out in our corridor plan that we show here that we did between Olmsted County, City of Byron, and MnDOT.
Senator Nelson.
Mr. Chair, just to add to that, so it was the result, actually, of one of the fatalities that really closed that intersection, and it has been significantly difficult for farm equipment, for all of the traffic. My IBM engineers have already told me how much more it cost them a year for the last 2 years just to do all the driving around to get from home to work. So it was never intended to be permanent. It was an intermediate measure.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Other questions, members? Again, I just want to thank Senator Nelson. Again, this is an important one. I know after getting Highway 14 done several years ago, it's the biggest thing that I hear in my district of how people appreciate that, especially with Mayo campus from Mankato, Otana to Rochester is extremely important. The safety is very important. So thank you, Senator Nelson. With that, Senate file, or any closing comments, Senator Nelson? So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say this is critically important, and also note that this is the Trunk Highway bonds. There's also the GO bonds in another committee that will finish this off for the full project. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Senator Nelson. Senate file number 781 will be held over for possible inclusion. Thank you. Next, we have Senate file number 368, Senator Howe. This is the Rockville Trunk Highway 23 intersection improvements appropriation. Senator Howe, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do have an author's amendment. It actually adds another intersection to the mix. That would be, so I move the A1 amendment.
Senator Howe moves the A1 amendment. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Senator Howe, to your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And really, what this does is we've got 3 intersections in Rockville that this affects, and what this bill does is it allows us to redesign those intersections, trying to minimize the amount of accidents and that we have. It would actually provide some acceleration lanes, some right turn lanes, and some right turn buffers in each intersection to try and give some more space for drivers to get to safely turn. We've got an increased amount of truck traffic in those intersections that really cause us a lot of issues. So with that, I have the Mayor of Rockville, Mark Husnick, and the County Commissioner, Jeff Bertram, to testify on these 2 bills. So with that, I'll go to the Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Husnick, please state your name and who you're with and proceed.
Chair, committee members, thank you for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. My name is Mark Husnick, Mayor for the City of Rockville, serving the first term. I thank Senator Howe for authoring the bill to fund the studies for these intersections. They are to be completed without an option for a J-turn. We currently have, the city of Rockville has currently one J-turn at Trunk Highway 23 and I-94 for a truck stop that's there. That is the only experience that the local residents have with a J-turn. That intersection is very complex and very dangerous. It's high-speed traffic going over the top of a bridge, so the sight lines are poor. I've personally commuted that intersection for 2 years and stopped commuting that now. I was encountered with I had my third encounter with a car coming head-on at me, southbound in the northbound lane. They had taken the J-turn prematurely trying to get into the truck stop, saw they were off, so they just jumped on the northbound lane to come down. So we do not, my family does not use this intersection because of the safety concerns we have there with the big trucks moving in and out. And I realize the truck traffic is heavy, so it's tough to get those trucks moving and slow them down, but that's why we don't use it anymore. And I thank you for consideration.
Thank you, Mayor. And next we have Jeff Bertram online, I believe so. And with that, Mr. Bertram, as long as we're testifying, we have two bills on the similar things. You can testify in both bills at this time and probably make it more efficient. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Thank you, Senator Howell, for carrying the bills. I'm Jeff Bertram, Stearns County Commissioner from District 3 in Stearns County, current board chair. I'm speaking on myself and District 3, not on behalf of the entire board. We haven't had a chance to discuss this as an entire board. Highway 23 runs through my entire district. I'm also the past chair of the Highway 23 Coalition, and so I have a much larger perspective all the way from Marshall to I-35 towards Duluth. Senate File 367, 368 with the acceleration lanes and the variety of different options of those intersections would force MnDOT to responsibly spend taxpayer money at a lower cost, in fact, and plan for the future and not just a short-term Band-Aid. I attended at least 4 meetings with hundreds of people attending the meetings, all opposed to the J-turn, and at the intersection of County Road 8 and 23, motorists, in fact, traveling between Marshall and Duluth have expressed not being crazy about driving through potentially 4 J-turns in a close distance. The realities of that intersection does not fit that crossing for several reasons. And despite that, MnDOT simply says that they've received the federal grant and that they're going to go forward no matter what. Spending money just for the fact of spending money is not the answer, I don't think, and I would hope that the public input would and should make an impact on this. As the mayor said, the J-turn at the intersection of 94 and 23 has been a complete disaster. Now they want to add another one at County Road 8 and 23. There's another J-turn plan for the intersection of Belclair Acres and Highway 23 that is going to happen. And of course, everyone knows the next J-turn MnDOT will work on is the intersection of County Road 47 and 23. So at that point, there's going to be a total of 4 J-turns in a matter of miles. These bills will stop that wasted taxpayer money and force a more thoughtful approach with planning through what this corridor should really look like. So I urge you to support these bills for a long-term fix and for traffic issues in the future. The request, if I did my math right, is $3.12 million. And so again, certainly short of building 3 additional J-turns, would be doing it right the first time and not constructing a J-turn and then literally tearing it up 5 years, 10 years later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Bertram, questions from members? Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I believe, Mr. Bertram, you can probably answer this the best. You've given the best description of the project. What is the status of the study that you need and the design that needs to be done? And when do you expect this to be shovel-ready?
Senator Howell. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bertram.
Mr. Chairman and Senator, there is no plan. Right now, the plan is to do the J-turn because we have not been able to engage MnDOT in looking at, and again, instead of building 3 more J-turns, is there an option to do a study and to find a better one, for example, one intersection, create one intersection rather than having all the intersections? They've continued to say, we got the funding, we got the grant, we're going to build the J-turn. And so all we're trying to do is, again, listen to, have them listen to hundreds and hundreds of people that are aware of it. A lot of people that are traveling through that area aren't even aware of it yet. And trying to get them to slow down and say, let's look at doing a study instead of doing the actual J-turn. So there is no plan for the studies. That's what we're trying to get going here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Bertram. And,
Senator Carlson, go ahead.
Yes, it looks like there's still a lot of work to be done if you're going to be collapsing this into one project.
Commissioner Bertram.
Mr. Chairman and Senator, there certainly will be, but again, long-term, nobody believed that we could get a 4-lane highway from Limmer to St. Cloud, Minnesota, and we did. And again, rather than doing 3rd lanes and other kinds of construction, we focus on getting and arranging the funding to do it right the first time and do it once rather than several times. And so there's certainly some work to be done. However, MnDOT, as everybody well knows, doesn't lead projects. They didn't lead the 4-lane highway between Limmer and St. Cloud. However, when the money, their biggest point, and it's legitimate, they always say, well, we don't have the money. Well, when we get the money, they'll do the study. And so it's kind of which comes first, the cart or the horse. And again, just like the 4-lane highway between Limmer and St. Cloud, you're going to be better off doing it right the first time, even if it takes a couple more years.
Thank you. Senator Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Carlson, Senate File 367 would do a study on these 3 intersections. Once we do the amendment to 367, but Senate File 368 provides funding. This was a bill I had 2 years ago and we didn't get the funding. So now we're adding, we didn't expect to do anything with County Road 8, but now MnDOT came in and said they're going to do a J-turn situation, or what, a reduced conflict intersection. I think that is a fancy term they call a J-turn. But we've got the experience of the Love intersection, and I hear everybody that knows me that travels that road has contacted me to tell me that's a terrible intersection. And what that has done is shifted traffic away from that intersection. They are now taking 47 and County Road 2, and the traffic count on those have increased because they're avoiding that J-turn intersection down there. And so that has actually caused more accidents on these other county roads because they're avoiding that intersection. Now to add 3 more of those in a short period of time, definitely, and the fire department's concerned about trying to get across it. You got farmers that cross those roads all the time. J-turn intersection or a reduced conflict intersection is not the best answer here. So really, if we could do the study to really take a look at those intersections would probably be the right answer. But right now they got some federal funding to put towards County Road 8 intersection. And to me, that's throwing good money after bad. We should save that, do the study, try to figure out the right way to do that. These intersections provide access to the Ricori Trail system, provides access to Highway 15 and I-94. So we should try to get these intersections right before spending money that I think we should probably do Senate File 367 and do the study and get it right. So,
thank you, Senator Howell. Senator Dibble. Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Carlson, do you have something?
Yep, I did. Yeah, it sounds like you've got this well in hand, and in fact, when anyone says do it right the first time, that is a good answer. That's a very good answer. So, Senator Howell, if this appears in a bonding bill, will you vote for it?
If that's the only thing in the bonding bill, or we got infrastructure in the bonding bill, you bet. But if it's got some other clutter in there, I'll have to take that under advisement.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Howe.
Thank you, Senator Howe. We'll ask your supporters to.
Senator Dibble.
Thank you. I just wanted to visit on J-turns again. Are we just objecting to J-turns, and can we hear a little bit more about why we don't like those? I don't understand that they're necessarily a temporary measure. I think they're fairly substantial safety improvement to help mitigate against T-bone crashes and a lot of the fatal crashes that we've seen. Where it's hard to pull out and take a left onto from a less busy street onto one of the busy county roads or state highways. So, yeah, just help me understand more what I hear this a lot. I've heard this from Senator Lang and others. Oh, they're going to put in a J-turn. That's a terrible thing. You have, and maybe Mr. Rudin can come forward and we can hear from MnDOT about why J-turns and how they think about J-turns. And I'm hearing that it's just a temporary measure. It's not done right. I want to hear more about that.
Senator Howe, then Mr. Rudin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And what we heard was everyone has this experience in my district with that one J-turn. And everyone is opposed to it. No one likes it. We've had numerous accidents there, numerous close calls also. The issue is when we brought up, when they had the public meeting to discuss this at County Road 8, what they told us was we wanted a different intersection there. And what they told us, we got federal funding for it, we're going to put it in, and if you want something different and you get the money, then we'll just redesign it, but we're putting this in now. That's where we believe it's a temporary fix. We would much rather save that money and do a different interchange there to actually reduce the fatalities and get something that works for the local folks. And what concerns us, and I've got some legislation coming that we'll have a discussion about, but because it's a safety issue, they don't need consent from the local government. And that to me is a mistake, because guess who all the locals call? The locals call the elected officials. They're not calling MnDOT. So we take the heat because this intersection's coming. And I think that's totally irresponsible to go that route. The local folks should have a concern, well, they are concerned, but we should, because we're the ones that are getting involved in the accidents, we should have a say on how that intersection is designed. Yeah, they had the public meeting, they heard the opposition, they're putting it in anyway.
Senator Dibble.
Thanks. If we could hear from Mr. Rudin about J-turns, when they opt to use them, what their benefits are, what the relative cost is, et cetera.
Mr. Rudin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Eric Rudin, MnDOT Government Affairs. And, J-turns have been proven to be an effective traffic safety measure. We have some research that shows that fatalities are reduced by like 70%. If you have an intersection with a history of fatalities, this can be very effective. Reduces injury crashes by over 40%. There are just less there's less potential for conflict because you're not crossing multiple lanes of traffic at once. You're looking to your left to make a right turn, and then you make a U-turn, and so you're not trying to look at 4 lanes plus turn lanes all at the same time, which is where we have a lot of those serious high-speed T-type crashes. So, if we had unlimited resources and we could build interchanges everywhere and upgrade all of Highway 23 to a freeway from Sioux Falls to Duluth, maybe we wouldn't need J-turns, but we don't. I mean, you can build a J-turn for just a fraction of the cost. Sometimes it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars versus tens of millions to do a full interchange. So those are some of the reasons that we've installed J-turns. We certainly understand there's concerns about farm equipment and other things getting across, but we have videos actually on our website for people to watch, to how to navigate with a semi or a large piece of farm equipment. So, we do have other locations where people are able to successfully navigate a J-turn with those large pieces of equipment too.
Senator Dibble, follow.
Thanks. So I was going to ask you to respond to the critique from Senator Howe about fire rigs and semis and farm equipment and the like. You touched on it, but if you could expand a little bit on that.
Mr. Radin.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we do design them to be able to handle those large pieces of equipment. So typically, we design the shoulder as you're making the U-turn. You can swing out onto the shoulder of the roadway to complete a U-turn with a large piece of equipment. And so if you're driving through one, you'll actually see that sometimes there's like a bump out in a spot near where you would make that U-turn. So they are designed to be able to be used. It's not to say that it's necessarily the most convenient, where if you had an interchange, it's easier for people to sort of intuitively understand how to navigate that sometimes. But again, we have other locations where they've been installed, and we can offer to the local fire department or whomever to make some time available where they can take out their equipment and sort of learn how to navigate one of these intersections.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator Dibble. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, and then we have Mr. Bertram online wants to go, but if you could just step a little bit back from your microphone. Last time you spoke was a little muffled. So, Mr. Bertram, did you have some comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Chair Dibble. Chair Dibble's been very supportive and helpful with the Highway 23 Coalition, and I can just tell you that we do not, and when I say we, I personally and the community at large does not oppose J-turns unilaterally. The one at Belclair Acres that is going to be done, we pushed for that, we supported that, and that will be constructed soon. So in that case, in some cases they work, just like roundabouts. Roundabouts work in most places, some places they don't. Senator Lang knows firsthand there was a J-turn planned in New London, and MnDOT was going to do that just like they're trying to do the one in Rockville. And after a lot of public input and after a lot of questions and concerns raised, MnDOT's backed off of that J-turn and said, yes, this might not be the best way to do this, and now we're doing something completely different. That's all we're asking. And so J-turns do work, in my opinion, can work in the right place. In this particular place, going across an area where there's a lot of ag and where there's a lot of lakes, it goes into a community, Pearl Lake to the south, it's different traffic. It's a different traffic pattern. And again, having 4 J-turns right after one another is causing concern. So J-turns are not bad, but in this particular situation, this one is, and it doesn't allow for the long-term planning. And again, even MnDOT obviously has agreed that J-turns aren't always fixed in all places in reference to the one in New London.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bertram. And we're getting up on time here, so I'm going to call Senate file number 368 be held over for possible conclusion as amended. And then we're going to go to Senate file number 367. And I know we need an amendment on that one as well. So if you can request your amendment to be passed, I think it's the A1.
The A1, yes. So I'll move the A1 for this
Senator
Senate
Howe
File
moves the
367.
A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Senator Howe, we've done most testimony for everything. I just want to make sure we had that passed for the amendments. So both Senate file 368, 367 as amended will be held over for possible inclusion. Members, Senator Farnsworth, you're going to be here anyway, so I'm going to just bump by you since you're part of the committee, and we're going to move on to Senator Coon. I hope you don't mind, but you have to stay anyways. Senator Coon's back there, has been waiting. So Senate file number 1817, Senator Coon. Senator Coon, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council, committee. I am Senator Michael Coon. I first want to thank this committee for the support that it's given on Highway 65. Senate File 1817 is Phase 2 of the Highway 65 project. Which is the same project from the same Pell study as the Highway 65 project in Blaine that was funded 2 years ago. So thank you very much for your support for Highway 65, but we're not done. We still have another phase to go, and that's what this is. This bill would finish funding the interchange at Bunker Lake Boulevard and Highway 65. Bunker Lake Boulevard is a major east-west county highway running through most of northern Anoka County. It's a very dangerous intersection with a crash rate 3 times higher than the state average of similar intersections. It's a very congested intersection with 25 to 30,000 vehicles per day, which is the same volume as 35W in Anoka County. It's close in proximity to a couple of schools. This creates long queues in the mornings and the afternoons, and it takes several cycles to get through this intersection, and this also makes it a very unsafe intersection. Once the signals to the south are removed as part of Phase 1 in Blaine, that will add stress to this intersection and making it even more dangerous. Mr. Chair, this is a serious project. It's well on its way. It just needs this state funding to get it over the finish line. The locals have already committed over $2 million to this project. It's received $10 million of federal funding through the regional solicitation grant administered by the Met Council. And Mr. Chair, it is the top transportation priority for Anoka County. So with me today to testify is Julie Jepson, who is an Anoka County Commissioner. I'm also joined by Joe McPherson, who is the county engineer. And behind me, to show the seriousness of this project, is the chair of the county board, Mike Gamache.
Thank you, Senator Coon. Commissioner Jepson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senators, for allowing us to share 1817 with you today. My name is Julie Jepson. I'm an Anoka County Commissioner. I am representing the cities of Blaine and Spring Lake Park. I also sit on the Met Council's Transportation Advisory Board, plus I am also representing from the Association of Minnesota Counties as the appointment representing all 87 counties on the newly established in 2023 Advisory Council on Traffic Safety. I'm here today for 2 reasons. First of all, like the Senator, I wish to give you my profound thanks and appreciation for your past support on Trunk Highway 65 project. We are very excited that that project is going to let about a year from now, and construction is going to get started. We are seriously diving into this project so that we can piggyback it on to that very extensive project, because in about 2.5 miles, the city of Blaine is going to be very disruptive. And if you have children, if you have grandchildren that come to Blaine to play sports, you'll know what I'm talking about in a couple of years. The second reason why I'm joining you today is that I'm humbly and respectfully asking for this funding for Bunker Lake Boulevard and Trunk Highway 65. Every semester, I have the honor to speak to seniors at Blaine High School and their Civics 101 class about the importance of local government. Surprisingly, they don't ask questions about public policy, property taxes, or Medicaid. Nope, the #1 topic on everybody's mind is Trunk Highway 65. And ironically, the day before I was there last fall, a Blaine High School student was traveling westbound on Bunker Lake Boulevard to cross 65, got stopped at the red light, a few cars, behind, made the highly poor decision of cutting into the right turn lane, went through the red light, crossing 65, and hit a minivan that included a mother and her children. Thankfully, everybody walked away from that crash. But the reason why I tell you this story, it's just one example how we as a society have elevated our self-importance over the importance of others. We say to ourselves, my way in getting from A to B is more important than anyone else's, whether I get it there through speeding, distraction, or under the influence of some kind. So until we figure out a way to start caring more about others than about ourselves, we have no other option but then to depend on the expertise of our county engineers, our city engineers, and those at MnDOT to design roads that will force changes in driving behavior, and that's what this project will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Questions? I believe Mr. McPherson's here just for questions on this issue, but maybe testify on the next one. So any questions, members? Back to you, Senator Coon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, sincere thanks to this committee for its support over Highway 65. And I would just like to mention that the story Commissioner Jepson just relayed about that crash at the intersection, my wife and kids were actually right there and witnessed the whole thing that morning. So, and this is just one of many examples. It's a very unsafe intersection, and we thank you for your ongoing support to finally get Highway 65 done the right way so that it alleviates congestion and improves the safety of the roadway. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Coon. Senate File 1817 will be held over for possible inclusion. Next up, Senate File 1847, Senator Coon. This is the City of Columbus, Hornsby Street, Northeast Improvements and Appropriation. Senator Coon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This file here is a local project for the City of Columbus. And really, I have there is something in your packet that shows the map of this, and which is important to explain how this works together. But it's really just a it's really just a 1,200-foot missing link in a much larger state project involving the Lake Street I-35 interchange, and then the local frontage road in Forest Lake, which is Eureka Avenue. During that state funding, just this little piece of that frontage road in Columbus was not included. So this is just a bill to complete that frontage road. It just happens that the frontage road is primarily in Forest Lake, but just a little bit of it is in the City of Columbus. This is a good shovel-ready project, and we're ready to complete this state-funded project in its entirety. With me today to testify is the Mayor of Columbus, Ron Hanegraaff, and also with me today is City Council Member Janet Hagelin.
Mayor Hanegraaff, please state your name and who you're with and proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ron Hanegraaff, Mayor of Columbus, and I thank you for the opportunity to address your committee to request funding assistance for the City of Columbus. I'd also like to thank Senator Coon for carrying this bill. Our city has just over 4,100 residents and is located on the eastern side of Anoka County, abutting up to the City of Forest Lake in Washington County. The junction of I-35E and I-35W split heading to Duluth is how we identify the start of our city as you head north. You have maps, like Senator Coon said, in your packet. If you notice the yellow section there running up the eastern side of 35W, those are the roads we're talking about. From 97 up, 1/2 mile is Hornsby Street. From that point on, when it intersects with the City of Forest Lake or Washington County, it turns into Eureka and runs a mile up to County Road 32 of Washington County. This is a funding request of $762,000 for a 1,200-foot section of roadway running south of this boundary line of Eureka and Hornsby. As the senator said, I believe you said, Senator, that in 2023, the state legislature funded $4.5 million in the bonding bill to reconstruct Eureka Avenue, but did not fund the 1,200 feet of Hornsby and Columbus. Eureka Avenue and Hornsby Street is an important major collector that carries 2,200 vehicles daily and connects the City of Columbus with the City of Forest Lake. This 1,200-foot segment is deficient in multiple ways, as it is narrow, lacks curbs or shoulders, and lacks any pedestrian infrastructure. These features create public risks and safety for not motorized, non-motorized, and vehicle users. The Hornsby Street segment is the missing link to a network of 3 local and regional road projects in this area. That includes the major improvements to Eureka Avenue and Highway 97 east of Highway 35 to 61, which is scheduled in 2025. Additionally, the City of Forest Lake and Washington County are in the final stages of design for realignment of their County Road 2 on the north end, or 11th Avenue southwest, which is a part of the same transportation network as North Hornsby Street and Eureka Avenue. Construction on this project is scheduled to begin in 2027. In anticipation of these three projects, Columbus requested funding in 2024 to improve the Hornsby Street section of Eureka Avenue project. The 2024 bonding bill was not passed, and that's why we are here and need your help. The improved 1,200-foot section of Hornsby Street will feature a widened road service, curb and gutter, and an 8-foot wide trail. These improvements will align with the neighboring Eureka Avenue project in Forest Lake, providing enhanced safety and transportation choices. The Hornsby project will be complete and consistent transportation corridor between the two neighboring cities, providing equitable access, economic opportunities, and outdoor recreations at Lamprey Pass Wildlife Management Area. Besides safety improvements, the proposed project will also provide more efficient connection between major employment centers of the two cities, including downtown Forest Lake and the Columbus Industrial Park. Without funding, the 1,200-foot Hornsby Street section will be obviously deficient when compared to abutting sections south, which was completed in 2009, and the north project area scheduled for 2025, correct on that. I appreciate your time you have given today, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope I made it 3 minutes. I thought I heard the bell.
Thank you, Mayor. You went a little over, but we'll be a little lenient today. So, members, any questions? Senator Johnson Stewart.
So, Mr. Chair, just for clarification, the portion to the north is covered under a construction project that's happening this year. Is that funded in such a way that this 1,200-foot section can't be added by change order?
Mayor Honograff or Senator Coon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that question, Senator Johnson Stewart. I believe what happened is the description in there, because there's a county line in between the two, I don't think that that's possible, because this is in Anoka County, the Hornsby Street part, the Eureka Avenue part is in Washington County, and so there may be a hang up there. So that's my understanding.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
My follow-up question would be, is there a way to, if funding is received, is there a way to do, I mean, lots and lots of road projects have funding from different sources. It seems like it would be much cheaper and efficient to add this section to the project to the north, because it'd just be a continuous construction sequence. So I wonder if the county has explored that, if there's an opportunity to do that. Mr. Chair.
Senator Coon.
Mr. Chair, thank you for that question. On that kind of level of detail, I'd probably have to phone a friend with the county engineer who's in the audience, and I'm sure he could answer that question in terms of the funding sources and whether the suggestion that you proposed is possible.
Okay. Mr. McPherson, if you could come up and.
I can crouch down too here. So good afternoon, Joe McPherson. I'm the Anoka County Engineer and Chief Officer of Transportation. So this project's on a city street, but as the Senator had mentioned in regards to that question, I think there is a possibility where you could amend that previous language or add that to that language that was passed in 2023. We just want to ensure that the funding level on there accounts for both projects, both the section that would be in Chisago and the section that would be in Anoka County.
A quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. What's the typical cost for this type of road per mile? 700,000 seems like a lot for a 1,200-foot section of road. Mr. Chair.
Mr. McPherson.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Senator. So in regards to this would be a 2-lane with widened shoulders. In the metro area like this, I know this city is on the fringe of the metro area. In the metro area, we would see roads like this that could be around $2 million per mile or even a little more. So being on the fringe, this actually sounds like quite a deal for what they're getting here. Knowing what the surrounding topography is, you've got a lake to the northeast here, so it seems like they've really tightened up the estimate on this project here.
Senator Johnson Stewart, anything else?
No, I know the county engineer, so I'm going to tease him later about saying it's quite a deal. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no other questions.
Okay, and we're approaching time. Senator Coon, do you have one more testifier you wanted to speak, or we're a little bit over the 2 minutes, so. Or 3
No,
minutes.
Mr. Chair, that's Janet Hagelin was here just for support and to answer any other specific questions, but I thank you for the committee's time, and It's just a small gap here, but it's an important one to the city of Columbus, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Senate file number 1847 will be held over for possible inclusion. And Senator Coon, you have one more bill, Senate file XX, and I think we have it in front of us as SC 2875. If you can address the bill. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, this bill is, I believe, at the revisor's office, so thank you for hearing this bill today. This is the Trunk Highway portion of this Phase 1 of the Highway 65 project in Blaine. That Phase 1, again, is fully funded. This bill here gets at the local roadway improvements related to that Highway 65 project in Blaine and its impact on the local roads. As part of Phase 1 and the funding we already have for Highway 65, that includes some temporary improvements that are a part of that project to the local roadways. This here would be a proactive measure to be as efficient as possible with taxpayer dollars to make those temporary improvements permanent. I heard earlier today from Senator Carlson that do it right the first time is always the right answer. That's exactly what this project is. We're trying to do it right the first time because these impacts from the Highway 65 project on the local roads, they're there and they're going to be more than temporary. So we're trying to get out ahead of this and get some funding sources to make these temporary improvements permanent. The city of Blaine, like I said, this is fully funded. They've already contributed to Phase 1 of this project in excess of $4 million. City of Blaine is fully supportive of this project. Due to kind of the timeline here of this hearing, we could not get city officials from Blaine down here to testify. So with me to testify is Joe McPherson, Anoka County engineer.
Mr. McPherson, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Again, my name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Anoka County engineer and Chief Officer of Transportation. Today I get the pleasure of representing the city of Blaine. So anything I say here, just don't hold it against the city of Blaine. But with that, as a senator has said, he did a really nice job of kind of laying out where we're at with that Trunk Highway 65 project in Blaine. That project, the Trunk Highway portions of it are fully funded. So that's not what this request relates to. This really relates to the local road impacts associated with the construction of this project. So I know many of you are familiar with large trunk highway projects. When they're underway, many of them span several years, such as the Trunk Highway 65 project is going to do. With that, there's a lot of work that goes into the local roadway system to get it up to par, to make sure that when the construction on the trunk highway is underway, we don't too negatively impact the local residents, the businesses, and that type of thing. And being right next to the National Sports Center, that's another venue that would be impacted by this. So with that, the request here is really for those, as a senator had mentioned, there'll be some temporary improvements, such as temporary signals, potential crosswalks to try and get folks to and from the National Sports Center or other venues in the area while 65 is under construction. And as we've gone through this design process, it's become very evident that a lot of these proposed temporary improvements really would be a betterment to the community in all aspects and all modes of transportation there. So that's the request here today, is to work with our partners at the state and those temporary projects that'll be underway for this. Again, the Trunk Highway project's fully funded. There's money in there to do the temporary improvements. This is more for those permanent improvements. So I appreciate your time this afternoon, and I turn back to the senator.
Thank you, Mr. McPherson. Questions? Seeing none, back to you, Senator Coon, for closing comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And once again, I just appreciate this committee's support the last couple of years for Highway 65 and appreciating the quality of life and the many facets of that project and the seriousness and the gravity of that whole project, Phase 1 and now Phase 2 as well. And so look forward with working with you in the future on this, and appreciate your support on Highway 65. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Coon. This bill will be held over for possible inclusion. With that, I'm going to go back to Senate file number 130. I forgot Senator Farnsworth might have some testifiers. So Senator Barr, sorry, I thought you were going to get up there, but we'll turn it over to Senator Farnsworth and his testifiers. Senate file number 130. This is U.S. Highway 169, a 4-lane highway expansion, bond issue, and appropriation. With that, Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My testifier, who has to drive 3.5 hours after this, is grateful for the extra few minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Senate File 130 would provide funding to finally connect the entire Iron Range with a safe, efficient 4-lane highway. Planning and engineering dollars were appropriated to this project in 2021 and 2023. Those funds are intended to bring this project up to shovel readiness, making the construction funding in this bill the final piece of the puzzle to get this stretch of the highway done. Also included in the project area is the western edge of the portion of Highway 169 that we renamed last year in honor of Senator David Tomassoni. This was a legacy project for him, and I am honored to carry that work forward. With me today to speak about the project is Itasca County Board Chair Casey Venema.
Commissioner Venema.
Thank you. Again, Casey Venema, Itasca County Board Chair from District 5, which pretty much covers the whole east side of the county. This 8-mile project is outlined in the bill is the last remaining 2-lane stretch of Highway 169 that is nearly 6 miles long between 60 miles long between Grand Rapids and Virginia. This bill represents fulfillment of a promise. For decades, residents of our area have been told that someday we would be connected to 4-lane the whole way. This project started in 1958, and it's ran its course, and I understand that. But Senate File 130 is not included in MnDOT's current plans. This area remains very dangerous, especially in the winter driving conditions. Nearly every resident from the Iron Range knows someone whose life has been permanently altered by this area with accidents. The 2-lane is not only suitable for many oversized loads, the loads are basically from the Grand Rapids area have to be moved over to the Swan Lake area and up 65. They can't even go through the 169 area because of the bridges. And the bridges have caused accidents and deaths over the years. So recently our county has joined with more than a dozen local governments, private businesses, Chamber of Commerce, tourism groups, all along the 169 to bring together the Range Gateway Coalition. So, and I'm honored to serve on that right now as the chair also. So we know the project needs significant resources, which won't be easy to secure. That's why we're banding together to finish this job, and we will work with each other and with you to help advance this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Venema. Any questions, members? Senator Farnsworth, just knowing Senator Tomassoni very well, was one of my best friends over the years. He would be very proud of you asking for the largest bill of the day here today in Senate Transportation for a request. So, Senator Farnsworth, any closing comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and that is the Range Way. You might be wondering why the engineering isn't quite done yet. Why move forward with trying to get the funding? And I just want to point out that on the eastern edge of this corridor, we're looking at it within about 1.5 years. The first new taconite mine in 48 years is going to be coming online, which will have 350 jobs and approximately another 700 ancillary jobs, which is a lot of traffic that'll be going on that road. At the center of this corridor is a new scram mining operation that'll be coming online within a few years, which will be adding more usage. And on the western end is another scram mining operation, I believe, in the city of Beauvais. So kind of checkered along this whole 8 miles are 3 new taconite mines that will be putting a lot more stress on the road in addition to all of the other traffic. So this is a good project, so I hope to find it. Yeah, it's a good project. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Farnsworth. Senate File number 130 be held over for possible inclusion. And our last bill of the day, members, is Senator Barr, which is the City of Ham Lake Trunk Highway 65 and County Road 60 intersection improvements and appropriation. It's SC 2874 in your packets. With that, Senator Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the committee for your time. This bill is at the revisor's office, so we don't have the file number yet, but I appreciate the committee's time and including us today. With me is City Council Member Perano from the City of Ham Lake, and the bill basically asks for just under $2.3 million for some backage road redesign So we've heard a lot about the I-60 or the Trunk Highway 65 project in Phase 1. This is just north of that, and there'd be the second light north of where the lights end. So this frontage road actually comes out right to the edge of the 65, and it just needs to be redesigned. And as 65 takes all the traffic lights out, we're going to end up with a whole bunch more traffic up there, and then we'll just solve all this, put it all in one big project, and get it all done at the same time. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to my testifier, please.
Mr. Perano, please state your name and proceed with your testimony.
Hi, I'm Al Peranto, Ham Lake City Council. I'd like to thank the committee for the time and their support of improving traffic on Highway 65. This brings us to another unsafe intersection in Ham Lake at the crossing of Highway 65 and Constance. It's a poorly designed intersection where the frontage road is directly adjacent to the Highway 65 and causes some confusion there. Improving this, would it make it safer for the 4,200 vehicles that cross this intersection, along with the 30,000 plus vehicles that pass by on a daily basis on Highway 65? Ham Lake has secured approximately 80% of the land needed to relocate the road and improve this intersection, with the primary holdout stating that when we have funding, they are ready to commit their land as well. So that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Pronto. Senator Coon, anything you wish to ask? I understand there was a little bit of a discrepancy of where this bill fell within your district, so if you want to make any comments, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's right on the border between Senator Barr's and my district. So at Senator Barr's bill, I'm here to lend moral support, another good, solid Highway 65 project.
All right, thank you. This bill will be held over. Unless members have any questions, this bill will be held over for possible inclusion. I'm sorry, Senator Barr, any closing comments? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that was good timing. We have 6 minutes left, and I'm sorry I am no longer on the committee. I would have really enjoyed the conversation on J-turns. I have a lot to add on, a lot of comments about J-turns. So,
all right, thank you, Senator Barr. Again, this bill will be held over for possible inclusion. Members, we have nothing else left on the agenda. We are also known that Wednesday we will not have a meeting. Senator Dibble is working on putting our budget together with information coming out, so a little bit of a hold to get that done. So, hearing no other information, we have nothing else on the agenda. We are hereby adjourned.